Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, now continuing with the Harry Potter reviews. With review 4, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. So, yeah, this is like a really good, maybe even a great movie. I mean, I really did enjoy this film when I first saw it, and even now I still really do enjoy it. I mean, this is just like a really great film. I mean, yeah, I mean, the movie, it does kind of it doesn't really continue the events from the previous two films. For this film, this really does kind of have like a different kind of story than the first two films did. Yeah. The first two films was kind of like really more like Harry and Voldemort or against each other and stuff. Like with the first film, like Harry was like finding out who he was and learning about Voldemort, and that Voldemort would come back and was confronted by Voldemort at the end of the film. Then with the second film, with like Voldemort being behind the attacks that were going on at the school, this film has a pretty different story from the other two films. Yeah, Voldemort isn't actually in this film. This film is actually like more about Harry learning kind of more about how his parents really were murdered and who was actually responsible for his parents dying. And yeah, I mean, Voldemort is like mentioned in the film a few times, but he doesn't actually make an appearance here. And yeah, this movie isn't really like another thing between Harry and Voldemort. This is like a real different story. Like this is like the film where we start like learning more about like Harry's past and really like what past and really who was really involved with Harry's parents when they were at Hogwarts. Yeah. And yeah, once again, just about everybody from the first two films have returned. Yeah, I mean, we still have like a lot, like one of the original characters here, and yeah, they're still played by the same people. There's still Daniel Radcliffe as Harry, Rupert Grint as Ron, Emma Watson as Hermione, Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid, Alan Rickman as Snape, Maggie Smith as Professor McGonagall. So yeah, and the only character that really was recast was Dumbledore, because yeah, as a lot of you may know, after Chamber of Secrets was made, Richard Harris, who played Dumbledore in the first two films, died, and so now the role of Dumbledore is played by Michael Gambon. Yeah, Michael Gambon. He does like kind of give his own interpretation of Dumbledore. Like he doesn't really have the same mannerisms and stuff as Richard Harris does, and so Michael Gambon does like try to uh, put his own thing into being Dumbledore, and yeah. And so, yeah, so Dumbledore is actually kind of has like a different personality this time. And yeah, when I see like Michael Gambon in this role, I don't really see like Richard Harris in that role. I can't really see Richard Harris actually being this type of Dumbledore. So yeah, Michael Gambon did kind of give a change to Dumbledore, give him kind of like a different way of handling things. Yeah. And in this movie, also like have a lot of new characters and actors introduced. Yeah, we have Sirius Black. There's Peter Pettigrew. There's Professor Lupin, and we do have some other new characters in this film as well. And yeah, this is just like a really great movie. I mean, this film, yeah, it is like pretty dark, and I would definitely say that this really is one of the darker Harry Potter movies. I mean, it really is a lot darker than the first two films were. And for this film, Chris Columbus was like lowered down to the producer for this movie, and the direction was now done by Alfonso Cuarón. Yeah, and Alfonso Cuarón really does have a great direction for this film. I mean, yeah, he does kind of like just do different things to make this film kind of different from the first two Harry Potter films. And yeah, and plus also like the quality of this film, like the camera quality, it definitely like looks different. Like the first two films basically had the same like look for like the camera quality, but I think they use different cameras. to film this one because yeah, the camera quality looks pretty different here. Yeah, but yeah, it is still a really great movie. I mean, we see like a lot of new creatures in this film. Like we see the Dementors, we see Buckbeak, we see werewolves, we see like the Grim Dog. So yeah, we do see a lot of new creatures in this film. And yeah, things are kind of done differently in this film also, well, opposed to how things were done in the first two films. But yeah, they're still done like really well, and yeah, it's just like a really great film. Once again, I would probably give this film 3.75 stars out of 4. I mean, it's just a really great film. And in this film, we kind of like learn like some more behind, like we learn about a certain person, and that was actually something else in the previous two films this whole time. And yeah, we just like also like Hermione now has a cat in this film. I'm not sure if like she had the cat all along, like in the first two films, and this is just when she brought her cat to Hogwarts with her before. I mean, I don't know. And we also like see like the other village around Hogwarts, Hogsmeade. Well, yeah, that's introduced in this film. So yeah, we see a lot of new things in this film, and we also like see the night bus in this film also. And so yeah, we just do see a lot of new things in this film, but yeah, they're all like good additions into the Harry Potter movie series. So yeah, it's just a really great film. Yeah, this was like the best received Harry Potter film up until the last film, and so yeah, I'd probably say this is maybe my second or yeah, probably my second favorite Harry Potter film of all time. I just really have enjoyed this movie always. So yeah, let me just get right into it. Alright, so the movie opens once again with Harry back at the Dursleys, and in this film we like see like Harry, now that he's a teenager, he does start to kind of like act out a little bit more. Like this film is like showing that he has been using some magic outside of school, and yeah, this film just opens up with him like testing out a spell like Illumos Maximum, kind of just giving light and stuff, and then it shows that Uncle Vernon's sister Marge is paying a visit to the Dursleys. And like during dinner, she just is starting to insult Harry's parents. She's like called his dad a drunk and his mom a bitch. And then Harry just finally snapped. And then he just caused Marge to just like bloat up and float away into the sky. And then he just ran away from the Dursleys. And while he was just sitting on a curb, he then saw a black dog just like barking at him. And then the night bus then appeared, and yeah, the night bus was just an emergency transportation for a stranded wizard, which was Harry. Then Harry looked, and then he saw the dog was gone, and then yeah, the bus conductor Stan then brought Harry aboard the bus. Yeah, and then yeah, they then were driving Harry to the Leaky Cauldron, and yeah, the night bus was just like speeding down real fast, and apparently like the Muggles couldn't see the bus. And as Stan was reading an article from the Daily Prophet paper, Harry saw there was Sirius Black on the front page. And yeah, Stan just told Harry who Sirius Black actually was, and he was a murderer, and he was a follower of Voldemort, and he was the first person to actually escape from Azkaban prison. Then Harry eventually arrived at the Leaky Cauldron, and yeah, he was brought to see the Minister of Magic, Cornelius Fudge, once again. And Fudge just told Harry that Marge had been found, and the Magic Reversal Department reversed the incident and modified her memory so she wouldn't have any recollection of the incident. And yeah, Harry was just saying that he didn't understand why he wasn't really in trouble, since like he basically wrote rules about using magic at home. And Fudge just told Harry that wizards aren't sent to Azkaban for blowing up their ants. But he did call Harry. He did say like Harry was. It was irresponsible of him to be running away like that, given that Sirius Black was on the loose. But when Harry asked what it really has to do with him, Fudge just told him it really didn't. And he told Harry that just all that matters is that he was safe, and he also, well, like got Harry his new school books for the year. Then the next morning, Harry then saw like Hermione's cat Crookshanks chasing Scabbers, and then he eventually was reunited with Ron and Hermione. And then Ron's dad was just talking to Harry, and then he was basically telling him that Sirius Black is actually after him. And he just wanted Harry to just swear that he wouldn't go looking for Sirius Black. Then on the Hogwarts Express train, Harry, Ron, Hermione were sharing a compartment with Professor R.J. Lupin, who was actually like sleeping, and so Harry was telling Ron and Hermione about Sirius Black coming after him. While they were on their way to Hogwarts, then the train just all of a sudden stopped, and then the lights went out, and that Ron could feel that there was someone else coming aboard the train, and then just like the windows and everything, like the windows and a bottle of water just started to freeze up, and everything got real cold. Then it showed a creature then just aboard the train and going into Harry, Ron, Hermione's compartment, and then it was just like sucking from Harry. But then Lupin then woke up and then just set the Dementor off by casting a charm. And right before Harry passed out, he could like hear a woman screaming. Then once Harry woke up from it, Professor Lupin just gave Harry a piece of chocolate to help him. And yeah, Lupin just told Harry that the thing that came was a Dementor who was one of the guards of Azkaban and was just searching the train for Sirius Black. Then Harry was just telling Ron and Hermione that he heard that woman screaming, but Hermione told Harry that nobody was screaming. Then at Hogwarts, as Professor Dumbledore was just giving the students like some new announcements, he was saying that Professor Lupin would now be the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and that Hagrid would be the new Care of Magical Creatures teacher after the previous one was retired. We didn't actually hear who it was, but yeah, Hagrid is now the new one. And Dumbledore also told the students that by orders of the Ministry of Magic that the Dementors would be guarding around Hogwarts to find Sirius Black, and Dumbledore just told all the students to not give the Dementors any reason to harm them, and it's not in the nature of the Dementors to be forgiving. And then we had like divination. There was a thing with them in divination class, taught by Professor Trelawney, who's played by Emma Thompson. And during the class, like Hermione just seemed to appear out of nowhere. And Ron just like asked Hermione where she came from. Then, yeah, Professor Trelawney was just telling the students to look inside their cups, see what they see, and then Professor Trelawney noticed that Harry had the Grim in his cup, and the Grim was just like a thing that is the form of a dog, and it was just like dangerous or something. And then they went to see Hagrid for their Care of Magical Creatures class. And Hagrid introduced the students to the hippogriff named Buckbeak. Hagrid had Harry come and just like bow to Buckbeak, and then Hagrid then just stuck Harry on top of Buckbeak, and he just like had Buckbeak take Harry for a ride, and then Buckbeak was just flying Harry around the Hogwarts grounds. And apparently, like, hippogriffs are easily offended, and then once Buckbeak brought Harry back, Malfoy was insulting Buckbeak, and then Buckbeak then just snapped and just attacked Malfoy and just scratched him in the arm, and Malfoy was just like greatly overreacting about it, acting like he was gonna die or something. And then later on, the students saw in the Daily Prophet that Sirius Black had actually been spotted near Hogwarts. And then, in the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, Professor Lupin was showing the students about boggarts, and when Professor Lupin asked if anybody knew what a boggart looks like, Hermione then just spoke up, and Ron just didn't notice that she just seemed to appear out of nowhere again. And yeah, Hermione was just saying that boggarts are shapeshifters and are just whatever anybody fears the most. And so, yeah, Professor Lupin called up Neville, well, to give an example, and Professor Lupin just asked Neville what actually frightens him most of all. Neville said that Professor Snape frightens him more than anything. And then Professor Lupin just told Neville to just picture his grandma's clothes in his mind, and then he just wanted Neville to imagine Professor Snape in his grandmother's clothes. So then Professor Lupin then opened up the boggart, and Professor Snape walked out, and Professor Lupin told the students that whatever finishes a boggart off is laughter, and he told them to use the charm ridiculous. And so that's what Neville did. Neville then used the ridiculous charm at Professor Snape, and then Professor Snape just then was in Neville's grandmother's clothes. Yeah. And then Professor Lupin just had everybody then come up and just had them turn whatever they feared the most and turn into something funny. And so next up was Ron, and then Ron like had a spider as his boggart. And then Ron used the ridiculous charm, and then just there were rollerblades on each of the spider's legs. Then when it came to Harry's turn, it then had a Dementor then as the boggart. But then Professor Lupin just stepped over Harry, and then the Dementor just escaped, and it just like showed the night sky with the moon. And then yeah, Professor Lupin just then used the ridiculous charm, and then the moon just turned into a balloon deflating. And yeah, Professor Lupin then just stuck the balloon back into the chest for the boggart. Yeah. And it would later be revealed why Professor Lupin actually turned the moon into the balloon. Yeah. And then as like most of the students were paying a visit towards the Hogsmeade village, Harry couldn't since he didn't have his permission form signed. So Harry was talking to Professor Lupin about the boggart. And yeah, Professor Lupin thought that the boggart would have been Voldemort for Harry. And Harry was telling Professor Lupin that he did think of Voldemort at first, but then he remembered the night on the train. Then he told Lupin about the scream that he heard when he was attacked by the Dementor on the train. And Professor Lupin just told Harry that Dementors force people to reveal some of their worst memories. And then Harry just said that he thought that scream he heard was his mother on the night she was murdered. And Professor Lupin just told Harry that he did know his parents, and that Harry is more like his parents than he actually thinks. And then later that night, like the Gryffindors couldn't enter their common room because like the fat lady who's in the portrait to open up the Gryffindor tower was gone. And then yeah, Dumbledore then arrived, and then he found the fat lady in another portrait basically hiding, and the fat lady just told Dumbledore that Sirius Black is somewhere in the castle. And so, yeah, Dumbledore then just had the castle be secured, and the Gryffindor then just slept in the Great Hall that night. Right, and then yeah, Snape and Filch just told Dumbledore that they had no luck finding Sirius Black, and there was no sign of him anywhere in the castle. And then the next day, in Defense Against the Dark Arts class, then Snape then was then taking over teaching the Defense Against the Dark Arts class for that day. Okay, because yeah, he just told the students that Professor Lupin just finds himself unable to teach at the time. And then yeah, Professor Snape just was then just lecturing the students about werewolves, and then he just assigned the well, he was then just asking the students the difference between an animagus and a werewolf, and then Hermione just like appeared out of nowhere once again, and Hermione was just telling Snape the difference is that an animagus transforms into an animal at any time, and a werewolf really has no choice, and a werewolf responds to the calling of its own kind. And Professor Snape just assigned the students an essay about the werewolf. Then the next day, during a Quidditch match and a pretty big thunderstorm between Gryffindor and Hufflepuff, Harry, of course, was like racing to try to catch the snitch, and it looked like the Hufflepuff Seeker was about to catch the snitch, but then he got struck by lightning. And then Harry then was trying to race to catch the snitch, and then Harry eventually noticed that he was like being followed by Dementors, and then Harry tried to outrun the Dementors, but then like one of the Dementors eventually just sucked from Harry again and just caused Harry to fall off his blue broom and just fall in an enormous fall right back down to the Quidditch field. But then Dumbledore then ended up saving Harry before Harry had hit the ground. I'm not quite sure what Dumbledore actually did, because yeah, it didn't actually show what the result of the charm Dumbledore used was. It just like faded right to black. But anyway, yeah. Then Harry later on woke up in the hospital wing, and yeah, the other Gryffindors like were just telling Harry what happened. That the Dementors actually came inside the grounds, and Ron also told Harry that when he fell, that his Nimbus 2000 had actually blown to the Whomping Willow and it was destroyed. Then later on, Harry just asked Professor Lupin if he can actually teach him how to fight off the Dementors. And so, yeah, Professor Lupin did agree to teach Harry how to fight off the Dementors after the holidays. Then during like the holidays season, like the students again paid a visit to Hogsmeade Village, and Harry tried to sneak over to get to Hogsmeade also with his invisibility cloak, but Fred and George then caught Harry, and then they just brought him aside. And then they gave Harry like a paper, and then George just casted a spell on the paper saying, "I solemnly swear that I am up to no good." And then it revealed the Marauders map, and Fred and George just showed Harry what it did, and it just showed everybody in the entire Hogwarts ground. And then, yeah, they told Harry that there was a passage that he could take to Hogsmeade right to Honeyduke's shop cellar, and they told Harry that once he's done with the map, just to give it a tap, mischief manage, and then the map would just all the text would just disappear once again. And so Harry then took the passage and arrived in Hogsmeade at Honeyduke's. Then Harry eventually met with Ron and Hermione, who were just like outside of another building at Hogsmeade called the Shrieking Shack, which is just basically the most haunted building in the Magic Village. And Harry then eventually like snuck into a pub, and he heard like Professor McGonagall and Fudge and some other teachers talking about Sirius Black, and they were saying that Sirius Black is actually like the reason that Harry's parents are dead, and basically like he led Voldemort to them, and that he also killed off another friend of Harry's parents, Peter Pettigrew, and Fudge was just saying that the only thing left of Peter Pettigrew was a finger. And yeah, Professor McGonagall then just said that Sirius Black is actually still to this day Harry's godfather. And afterwards, Harry just like stormed out, and then he told Harry and Ron what Sirius did, that he betrayed his parents, and he was just saying that he hopes that Sirius Black finds him and he'll be ready, and he's gonna kill him when he does. And later on, Professor Lupin then did start teaching Harry how to fight off the Dementors. He told Harry that the charm that he has to use is a Patronus charm. He has to recite Expecto Patronum, and he also has to think of a really happy memory. So Harry thought of a memory, and he then gave it a try against a Boggart Dementor. And Harry tried it, but it just didn't work, and like the Boggart Dementor then just attacked him. And then Harry revealed to Professor Lupin that the memory he chose was just the first time he rode a broom, and Professor Lupin just told him that's not good enough. Then Harry thought of another memory, and he said that it's not exactly happy, but and it's also like pretty complicated. And so then Harry gave that memory a try, and it actually worked, and he was able to fight off the Dementor. And yeah, Harry just told Professor Lupin that the memory he was thinking of is just being with his parents, so I guess that's kind of maybe hinting towards when he saw them in the Mirror of Erised in the first movie, but yeah, that's never officially confirmed. Alright, and I'm almost approaching 30 minutes here, alright, so I think I'm just going to cut this off and continue in the second part. So yeah, I'll just be right back for the second part.